You know, I'll tell you what's interesting about these protesters is the number of them that mask their identity with bandanas, ski masks, and others. You know, it's a filthy group. I hate to sound like my father, but they need a bath.
And a haircut.
And a haircut. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, and definitely they need a haircut. You know, the other thing is, they don't obviously know their directions either, really. I mean, you look around at these people, I'm not sure they know what they're protesting, Joe. They just write things down and start yelling and screaming, and sometimes it makes no sense.
Yeah, it's a real mishmash of disgruntledness. And I guess, Rick, it's kind of hard to organize chaos. It's hard to organize anarchy.
It is to some extent, but you would think that maybe if you're going to protest something, you would kind of have an idea what it is you're protesting, and you would have a point. But I guess that's not the way that works around here. But I'll tell you this, the way these police are right geared up, if you want to cause a problem, tonight is not the night.
When you look at these protesters, we spoke to a number of them, and none of them would interview with us. And they are the most lethargic group of protesters. I think their Prozac has all kicked in, and this is just the slowest, most lethargic group of protesters. Not that I've seen a whole lot of protests, but I got to tell you, this one's, well, all right, that was the advanced team apparently of protesters, and here comes the big group.
You see the mounted police as well inside the perimeter of the barricade, but it's just keeping up with them as they come. And of course, up until now, really, I think the police have more or less outnumbered them. Now there are going to be more protesters than police, but I do think the guys in black are ready.
Again, you see a lot of people wearing masks. Now, these are protesters. Now, this is becoming clear now. This is the United States military. These might well be military protesters, actually. And while a number of them are in uniform, some of them are not. This may well be the Iraqi veterans against the war. We've got a military guy or two there wearing masks, concealing their identities. Well, things are getting very agitated here, as the police officer appears to be having a problem with his horse, and the crowds are really enjoying the fact that the police officer appears to be having a problem with his horse. We got the mounted police here. The protesters we saw earlier were clearly the advanced team of protesters. This is the greater body of protesters here. You can see that they put a lot of time, thought, and effort into crafting their messages.
And their outfits.
This is obviously a group of people who are disaffected. They're upset. They're angry. They're displeased with the direction of our country, presumably, or our administration. But there really is kind of a mishmash of messages here, though I think the recurring theme appears to be some sort of anti-war protest.
And then you do wonder, were the guys all dressed in military uniforms, were those really former military, or did they buy, rent, whatever, those costumes to give more effect?
One wonders about these people protesting the war, with maybe the exception of the Iraqi veterans against the war that we saw earlier. I wouldn't imagine that too many people actually have served in uniform and were probably not making any great sacrifices personally.
Now they're standing for the officers to get off the horses. Apparently Pete is here as well.
Well, I know what the end of a parade looks like, and this looks like the end of a parade from here.
Do you ever notice at the end of a parade when horses have been involved, there are guys come along with shovels?
Yeah.
I think somebody needs a shovel out here because in the end result at the end, that's pretty much what this is.
Now, back over here, we see the major concentration of protesters again gathering in front of one of the main perimeter, outer perimeter gates to get into the secure area to the Pepsi Center. And that puts a lot of people in very close proximity to each other and to the police authorities decked out in their full riot gear. Just being an observer here on the third floor of the parking garage, there's some anxiety just watching this. I would imagine from the police perspective, in spite of the fact that they are obviously well prepared, obviously well trained, but there would certainly be some anxiety, I would imagine, amongst law enforcement officials tonight as well. Yeah.